They are. They are.
You want an agenda?
I think I'm good. Thank you, though.
Is anybody from their group coming?
No. No. I'll go over the email. That's just the email, the bullet points there I got from Jeff, and then go over what they're requesting the board do.
Now, they're having a meeting Tuesday
They're having one tomorrow afternoon. The hospital authority is.
We're just going to call it to order.
That'd be fine.
Going to call this meeting to order. I guess, first and only thing on the agenda, hospital authority agreement with Americore.
Right. They've been working sort of at a feverish pace to try and get all this done, and trying to get everything structured where it's most beneficial to all parties. But they're trying to get the Americore severance completed as quick as possible. The goal at this point is to have that completed by Friday to close that transaction. The Hospital Authority Board will meet tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. So any motions that I'm going to ask you to do tonight will be contingent on approval by the Hospital Authority of the same transactions, and will be also subject to final review and approval of all the legal documents by legal counsel, the chairman, and myself before they're executed by the chairman, because you'll be asked to authorize him to sign those documents as well. In the one page that I had attached to there, that's just a quick email from Jeff Mitchell today. Tonight, what Ballard has agreed to in the severance agreement with Americore, Ballard Health has agreed to provide the funds necessary to purchase the building from Americore, paying off the first lien on the building, which is held by Titan Funding. They've also agreed, and that's roughly 1.7 million. It's 1.7 to 1.8 million, but they're thinking it'll be about 1.7 million. Ballard Health has also agreed to pay off the Burwood, I think it's Burwood Group. Yeah, Burwood Group Incorporated invoice. That is IT work that was done within the hospital, and that's roughly $400,000. Ballard is still confirming that work to make sure everything that was invoiced has actually been completed in the building. He does anticipate the Hospital Authority Board approving the financial arrangement and a letter of intent with Ballard at their meeting tomorrow. The terms of the Ballard Health loan to the authority will be for funds up to $2.1 million, and those, as I said, would be used to pay Titan and Burwood. They would be payable at 5.5% interest over 10 years and secured by a first position lien on the building. Ballard Health's outside counsel is currently drafting a promissory note, a deed of trust, and a subordination agreement, but he did not have those in hand tonight. So I do not have those documents for you to actually look at. It will be very similar to the ones that you've approved in the past. We've had a deed of trust with the Hospital Authority and also with Americore. You've had a subordination agreement. When Americore purchased the building from the hospital, you approved a subordination agreement, which made the Titan loan actually the first lien on the building, and yours was secondary. So it'll be new documents, but it's basically the same documents with just different names, or going back to the original names that were on the first ones that were done. Ballard Health is also, as I said, asking Lee County to subordinate the existing $1.5 million on their loan, just as it's currently done and subordinated with Americore. He's asking for you all to approve the financing, approve the subordination agreement of the existing loan to the new Ballard Health loan, subject to, again, review of the documents by legal counsel, the chair and the county administrator, and approval of the transaction by the Authority Board of Commissioners.
So the 1.5, will that be paid during
That,
that 10-year time frame, or are they saying they want it to be secondary till that's paid over the 10 years?
that would be
Start on that?
secondary to the 2.1 million that's being loaned to the authority.
So they pay it off first.
Yes, the
And
one to the
they-
authority, and then the 1.5 million to the county. There's some additional discussions going on. This is just the proposal as it sits at this time.
Well, I mean, for them to take over the building, open the hospital, for the county to get the money back, it's not a bad thing. I just want to make sure
Right.
I understood that.
Right, but that,
Correctly.
yes, that is the plan still. The county would be made whole, to the extent other than the donations that were made and the $200,000 difference in the original $1.7 million purchase price and the $1.5 million loan, that's been approved, so.
Do we have a figure on what the county's, number is exactly?
Total,
Yeah.
I've got it on a piece of paper somewhere in the office, but I haven't,
Okay.
I don't have it in my head. It's,
Somewhere close to that 1.5 then.
no, I thought you meant total that the county's invested in it from the
No, I'm just
inception.
saying what the difference is left in it. Are they gonna, I guess my question is, I know there was back taxes and all that stuff.
That's still being addressed through the severance. That's still the responsibility of Americore. They approached the attorney, the hospital authority's attorney, last week about somehow having that reduced because they're not seeing the value of the building and what it's assessed at. But I explained that that's the responsibility totally of the Commissioner of Revenue. The Board of Supervisors has no authority to lower values on property, and that in order for the Commissioner of Revenue to consider such a request, he would have to have a lot of documentation on, basically an argument as to why it should be lowered.
Chris said he couldn't drop it in time frame neither. I talked to him. He said basically the only thing he could do was double check square footage
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But he said as far as assessments, that's outside
Exactly.
agency that comes in. He said there's no way that, because I think they was wanting to have all that for whatever meeting they're fixing to have Friday. And he said they was no. He said other maybe the square footage stuff was probably, and said he can't just change the rate.
No.
Up on
If-
the whim, so.
and I explained to him that,
Yeah.
as far as the Board of Supervisors requested something like that, if you're gonna abate taxes, you have to do it to the full class. So all, any other class of property that is similar to that would have to be dealt with the same way. So it's an impossibility, but the power lies with the Commissioner of the Revenue to change that value. And again, he has to see strong evidence as to why that should be, and which would require a new appraisal by a certified appraiser.
I don't think it's
And when you
gonna
look at the value to construct that building back, I think you're gonna land. And if the building were fully operational, or what in the condition it was in when it was being operated as a hospital, it was worth more than the value assessed to it. Assessed values are usually a little bit lower than actual. But that's a side issue. But they would still be responsible to clear up the back taxes. Are there any other questions?
Basically, once this goes through, it's ballot paid.
Yes.
Bills, operations.
Well, yeah, that, again, the letter of intent will spell out a lot of things as to how the transition expenses and stuff will be taken care of.
And the county will get back to money. It
Yes.
just may be a little while.
Yes. Now, there's two motions that I'm gonna ask you to make, and when you see the first one, you'll see why I typed it up. And I've had this reviewed by, the hospital authority legal counsel as well, to make sure I'm covering all the bases. But basically looking for two motions. This first one is long, but it covers everything we've talked about. It would be a motion to approve the financing of the hospital authority by Ballad Health to include the payoff of the existing Titan Funding LLC note on the hospital building and the Burwood Group Incorporated invoices. That's the first item. It would approve the continuation of or re-execution of a deed of trust for $1.5 million with the Lee County Hospital Authority. It would approve a subordination agreement in favor of Ballad Health's first position lien on the building. It would approve a release of lien for the existing deed of trust with Americore Health, and it would authorize the chairman to execute all associated documents, and all of this would be, with the motion, all contingent on approval of the transaction by the Lee County Hospital Authority and subject to final review and approval of the documents by the county attorney, the chairman, and the county administrator. That would be the first motion, which would approve everything we've just discussed. The second motion, and this came to me later, but this would be a motion to approve the termination and release agreement between the authority, Americore and its subsidiaries, and Lee County. And again, this would be contingent on approval of the transaction by the Lee County Hospital Authority. And in that motion, I need to put a motion to approve the agreement and authorize the chairman to sign. I failed to put that in there. And that agreement, this is draft form, it's not final form. As you can see, the exhibits, it just says that all these agreements are attached. They're still being finalized. But again, all of this will be finalized. Everything will be in complete form before the hospital authority approves it and votes on it tomorrow.
Okay, you wanna go ahead and, I'll make that motion, just read it all off again.
Or if you want to say motion number one, and we'll insert the wording into.
Does anybody have a problem with that? I know.
Motion on the floor.
I'll make a motion to approve motion number one.
Second. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Also make a motion to approve motion number two with the motion to also add it to approve agreement and authorize chairman to sign.
Motion on the floor, have a second?
Second.
Second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. When will Stacy have opportunity to look over this?
Yes, yeah, she'll see all the documents before you sign anything.
Can I ask a question? When I attended the last meeting of the hospital authority, it was my understanding that that Ballard was going to lease the building, that they were not going to buy the building.
They're not buying the building.
No, they're not buying.
They are loaning the authority the $2.1 million for them to pay off Titan and Burwood, which will ultimately, with the other documents that they execute, title to the building will revert back to the hospital authority.
Well, it almost sounds like if you're preparing deeds that they're purchasing the building.
No.
And subordinating loans. I mean, if you could explain that to me, I would.
Well,
appreciate
the loan that we're subordinating, the county currently has a $1.5 million deed of trust against lien against the property. It is a subordinated lien, second in line to any first lien. Right now, Titan Funding has the first lien.
I understand that.
And they loan that money to Americore. So Americore owns the building. When Americore is taken out of the picture, Ballard is loaning money to the authority. They are not purchasing the building from Americore. They are not transacting a deal with Americore. They are loaning the $2.1 million to the hospital authority, who then pays off the Titan Funding. They obtain clean title to the building other than our loan. Our subordinated deed of trust with the hospital authority then is subordinate to the Ballard loan.
Okay.
So Ballard becomes first priority on that note.
Will Ballard be responsible, and I don't know that you already know this, will they be responsible for the maintenance on the building?
Yes, all maintenance.
That will all be worked out through the operating agreement,
Does that go
operating
right
and
into it?
management
They
agreement.
they verbally agreed to that.
Yeah, we make sure of that.
There's,
I mean, there's 1,000 things that
we
you can think
can't
about.
say, this board cannot say it's not this board's deal. They're simply approving the financial transactions that are taking
I
place.
understand that.
If you have questions to the management of the facility and how that agreement is gonna work, those need to be directed to the hospital authority.
Well, when I go there and ask questions, I don't get many answers.
Well, and again, this is just like I said, some of these documents are still being drafted.
I understand that.
And so it's a negotiation process that you can't release. A lot of things are being discussed, but nothing's been finalized yet. And until it's voted on, it's not a final agreement.
Well, but it is hard to go, you know, and I'll just be honest with you, it's hard to go to these meetings and sit there and you go in and 2 minutes later, they go into closed session and you wait 2 hours and you go back in and nothing's ever told. You don't get any information.
And it's hard to sit on this side and have information, but you can't say anything about it because it's not a completed transaction. And the information you're discussing is still under negotiations. You're trying to protect the interest of all parties. And it's frustrating because you can't tell the public, hey, this is gonna work out, don't worry. Because,
But when
you know,
you're sitting
you're
here-
not allowed to release that information.
I
at that
understand
point.
that, but I mean, you know, we just recently had a family member who can't come home to Lee County, and this would be Jeff's mom, because she fell and broke a hip. We can't get her home because we don't have a hospital here. And it, you know, I mean, that's pretty traumatic for a 90-year-old woman. It is. I mean, that's, you know, and Jeff and I aren't getting any younger either. You know, we need a hospital. I'm all for it. It's just, I want some information. I mean.
I'd like to ask a question. I don't necessarily expect an answer, but the money that Ballard's loaning the hospital authority, the county gonna have to pay that back?
No.
That'll all be worked out through the management agreement. Through the
Okay, so-
management and operation of the hospital agreement. The county will be made whole. That's the statement that's been made. In this deal, the county will be made whole on the money that's been invested.
That's a pretty vague statement. I'll come to some meetings afterwards and see what kind of answers I can get. Maybe somebody can answer. my
Well,
question.
hopefully tomorrow at the hospital authority meeting, we'll get some.
You should be able to
I'm
get
getting
some
enough of their
information there.
meetings to know
Well,
that,
I mean, that's why I say hopefully. We can hope.
you know,
And tomorrow's meeting, I'm not sure if tomorrow's meeting, it will, I think, involve, as he said in his email, it will involve a letter of intent with Ballard. Now, that means there probably will not be a final agreement for approval
Right.
for operation of the facility. So that answer won't be there until that final agreement is completed and ready to present for adoption by all parties. But the plan is that through that operating agreement, there will be a revenue stream coming back to the authority that will take care of all the debt.
But it'll be years of being paid back, correct?
Yes, potentially.
That's better than years of it being closed. and
Well,
they-
we need a hospital. I'm not fussing about that.
Right.
I don't, you know, I hate to be a naysayer, but maybe it'll open, maybe it won't. And if it does, it won't run over 5 or 6 years.
Well,
Because the first thing you gotta remember when you have a business, this don't matter what kind of business it is, there's gotta be a market, there's got to be paying customers.
There's no guarantee on anything
That's
in
right.
life.
But we do know
So-
from past experience, that's how we learn, and that's how we live, and that's how we get from today to tomorrow. Remember what happened yesterday.
And if you don't take chances, you never know.
But you don't step off the cliff.
No.
You know, it's like a step
Well,
off
I
the
can
cliff.
assure you, and I think I can say this safely, I can assure you that me, Dane, and Larry have spent countless hours with that, you know, with the hospital authority and everybody involved with the county's best interest in mind, so.
And I don't
It's
think
not like
anybody is
that,
saying
it's not like
you're
that,
lying.
you know, everybody second guesses, you know, you're gonna have Monday morning quarterbacks no matter what decision you make. But I can assure you that we've had a lot of input and, everything is well thought out. It's not like you just go in there and say, well, here's our opportunity, so let's jump on that bandwagon. It don't work like that, and you know, for those that seem to think it doesn't work like that.
And I don't think there's anybody here that has done anything without good intent.
Well, that's right. I mean, but You just have to trust.
Can I say something off the record?
Let me stop this.